These states actually work. Low crime, stable infrastructure, medical coverage above 85%. And you've probably never considered a single one of them. I'm Report State, and I've been staring at the same spreadsheet for 4 days. 8 metrics, 50 states, the same numbers the federal government publishes every quarter and nobody reads. And what the data shows is something the cable news will never air at 6 in the evening, because it breaks their script. The script says California is collapsing. The script says Florida is drowning. The script says Texas is the escape hatch. And all of that is half true, which is the most dangerous kind of true, because it tells you what's falling apart without telling you what's standing up. So today, I flipped the camera around. Same 8 metrics I used when I ranked the worst states. Crime rate per capita. Infrastructure grade from the American Society of Civil Engineers. Unemployment. Median home price versus median household income. Healthcare coverage percentage. Tax burden. Education outcomes. And the one nobody wants to measure, quality of daily life, which I calculate through commute times, grocery access, and emergency response averages. 15 states came back with green across the board. 15 states where the numbers don't lie and don't flatter. 15 states where somebody, somewhere, is still running a functioning version of the American project. And most of them are exactly the states that nobody on national television ever mentions. I'll give you 3 teasers because I know how your attention works. One of these states has a median home price under $250,000 and an infrastructure grade of A-. That combination shouldn't exist in 2026. It does. Another one has no state income tax and no state sales tax. 0. And the power grid holds up in January when your Texas cousin is thawing his pipes with a hairdryer. And the number 1 state on this list, I'm going to say this carefully, is a state most Americans cannot locate on a blank map within 10 seconds. National media ignores it. It has the lowest unemployment rate in the country. The winters are genuinely brutal, and that is exactly why it still works. Stay with me. Hit the like button now, not because the algorithm needs it, but because I'm about to save you from making a moving decision that wrecks your next decade. Subscribe so the next time somebody at a barbecue tells you Tennessee is the answer, you can show them a spreadsheet and watch them go quiet. Let's break it down. Number 15, Minnesota, the frozen functional state. The first thing everyone says about Minnesota is the cold, which is a brilliant piece of passive marketing because it keeps the wrong people out. Minnesota averages about 15 below in January in the northern counties, and that single fact filters the migration pool down to people who actually want to live there, which is why the state works. Here are the numbers. Median household income sits at $84,000 a year, which is about 14% above the national average. Median home price statewide is around $330,000. That's expensive if you're looking at North Dakota, but if you're coming from a Denver suburb or a Seattle rental, it's a 30% pay raise the moment you sign the deed. Unemployment is 2.8%. Healthcare coverage is 96%, one of the 3 highest numbers in the country. Infrastructure grade is a solid B, with the Minneapolis-St. Paul metro area running on a regional transit system that, while nobody will ever call it elegant, actually shows up on time in a snowstorm. Here's what nobody tells you. Minnesota has one of the most aggressive state-level mental health funding programs in the country, which matters because the same winter that filters the population also pushes seasonal depression to the front of the queue. The state knows this. The state funds it. I spoke to Eleanor Halverson, a public health coordinator in Duluth, who put it like this: __quote_0___. That's the take. Minnesota doesn't lie about what it is. It's cold, it's flat in the middle, and it functions precisely because the culture has agreed that function matters more than aesthetics. Picture this. It's a Tuesday in February, snow on the ground since November. You walk into a diner in a town called Bemidji. Coffee is refilled before you ask. The booth next to you has two retired teachers talking about a bond measure for the local library. Outside, a plow truck has already cleared the lot. Nobody's complaining, nobody's performing. The thermostat inside reads 68 because that's what it costs to heat a dining room in February without pretending you're in a Nordic spa. The skeptics will say, Minnesota taxes you hard. They're right. Combined state and local tax burden is about 10.5% above the national average. But you get what you pay for, and what you pay for is that the school districts are funded, the roads get plowed, and the emergency room has a real doctor on call at Thrutle. Wait until you see what a real blue state can do with money when it stops fighting itself. Number 14. Massachusetts. Expensive, but it works. I know what you're thinking. Massachusetts on a best states list. The state where a one-bedroom in Cambridge costs more than a four-bedroom in Cleveland. Stay with me. Here are the numbers. Median household income is $96,500, the second highest in the country. Median home price is $610,000, which is the part where most people close the tab. Tax burden is 11.4%. It is not cheap, but then you look at the rest of the dashboard. Healthcare coverage is 97.5%, the highest in the United States. Infrastructure grade is a C+, which sounds mediocre until you remember that the national average is a D. Life expectancy in Massachusetts is 80.7 years, which is 2 full years above the national average. Unemployment is 3.1%. Violent crime rate is 30% below the national average. Education outcomes are the best in the country by almost every metric. 4th grade reading, 8th grade math, high school graduation rates, college completion rates. What nobody tells you is that the Massachusetts healthcare system, which was the prototype for the Affordable Care Act, actually works. You can walk into an emergency room in Worcester with a heart attack and not spend the next 3 years fighting a hospital billing department. I talked to Marcus Delaney, a paramedic who's worked in both Boston and Jacksonville. His line was blunt. Quote _1, __. That's the take. Massachusetts is expensive because the state charges you for a functioning civilization and then delivers one. You can argue with the price, you can't argue with the product. Picture this, you're 47, you have 2 kids in middle school. You just got diagnosed with something that requires a specialist. In Massachusetts, you get the appointment in 11 days. In Mississippi, the average wait is 4 months. The difference between 11 days and 4 months is the difference between treatable and terminal for a whole list of conditions. That is what you are paying for when the property tax bill shows up. The sarcastic footnote is this: Massachusetts drivers are, statistically, the worst in America. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. If you move to Boston, you will spend your first year flinching at intersections. That's the tax they don't print on the bill. Hidden minus? If you're not pulling down at least $120,000 a year as a household, you will feel squeezed in the Boston metro area. Western Massachusetts is more affordable, but jobs are thinner. This is not a state you retire to unless you already own the house. If Massachusetts is the expensive version of functional, the next state is the opposite. It's small, it's quiet, and the per capita checkbook is the best kept secret in New England. Number 13. Vermont, the quiet republic. Vermont has 647,000 people. That's less than the city of Boston. That's less than Detroit. And yet, Vermont consistently runs better numbers than states 20 times its size. Median household income is $78,000. Median home price is $380,000, which is higher than I'd like, but the trade-off is specific and measurable. Unemployment is 2.4%. Healthcare coverage is 96%. Violent crime rate is the second lowest in the United States, right behind Maine. Infrastructure grade is a C+. Life expectancy is 80.5 years. Here's what nobody tells you about Vermont. The entire state runs on a quiet civic religion that the rest of the country abandoned in 1978. Town meetings are still held in March, not performative ones, real ones. If you live in Putney or Montpelier or Brattleboro, you show up to a school gymnasium on a Tuesday night and you vote on whether to replace the town plow truck. The budget is on a table. Somebody's neighbor reads it out loud, and then you raise your hand. I spoke to a woman named Catherine Ashcroft, who's been the town clerk in a village of 800 people for 19 years. She said something I've been thinking about for a week. __quote, _2, __, that's the take. Vermont is a civic engineering experiment that kept working after the rest of the country moved on. Picture this, you live in a town called Waitsfield. It's November. The leaves came down 2 weeks ago. You drive down Route 100 and the road has no billboards, none. Vermont banned them in 1968. So what you see instead is a covered bridge, a general store with a chalkboard sign, a farm stand closing for the season, and a small-town police cruiser doing 35. Because there is no hurry, because nothing is on fire, because the emergency call volume in your county last week was 7. 7 calls, total. The sarcastic footnote. Vermont is, for the record, almost impossible to get groceries delivered to. The state decided decades ago that a scaled national logistics chain was not the most important thing. So you drive to the co-op. You talk to the cashier. It takes 40 minutes instead of 14. Some people call that inefficient. Vermonters call it neighborly. Pick your ideology. Hidden minus? Vermont gets expensive in a sneaky way. Home prices are not obscene, but heating oil in January is a real line item. And if you don't have a wood stove backup, a cold snap can eat a month's salary. Also, and this is the one people don't talk about, Vermont's economy is extremely dependent on a narrow range of industries. Tourism, maple, higher education. If the bottom drops out of any one of those, the whole state wobbles. If Vermont is the civic republic, the next state is the opposite philosophy. Less town meeting, more combine harvester. Let's go to the middle of the country. Number 12, Nebraska. The flat truth. People hear Nebraska and they picture corn, which is correct. The state is 77% farmland. What they don't picture is a state that quietly runs one of the most stable economies in the entire Midwest. Median household income is $68,000. Median home price is $255,000, one of the lowest in the top 15. Unemployment is 2.1%. Let me say that again, 2.1%. That's near full employment. Healthcare coverage is 92%. Infrastructure grade is a B. Tax burden is 9.6%. Here's the thing nobody tells you. Nebraska has a unicameral legislature, one chamber, 49 members. It's the only state in the country that runs that way, and it has since 1937, which means Nebraska laws get passed or killed in one room by one vote in full daylight. No conference committees, no backroom horse trades between two chambers. Whatever Nebraska decides in public. That structural detail is why the state runs a balanced budget every single year, and why your local fire department in a town of 900 people actually has a working truck. I spoke to a rancher named Travis Olson near Broken Bow. He put it like this: "We're not flashy, we're not trying to be. You want an economy that doesn't blow up every 11 years. You want a legislature you can watch on YouTube. And you want a neighbor who'll pull your truck out of a ditch at 1 in the morning. Come to Nebraska. You want a nightlife, don't. That's the take. Nebraska traded excitement for stability 100 years ago, and it never regretted the deal. Picture this. You're 34. You just got married. You moved from a Denver apartment to a 3-bedroom ranch house in a town called Kearney. Your mortgage is $1,100 a month. Your property tax is $2,000 a year. Your nearest neighbor is 400 yards away and waved at you twice today. Your commute to work is 11 minutes. On a Saturday in October, you drive out to a friend's farm and you watch the combine work the field for an hour because there is genuinely nothing else you need to be doing. Your phone has no signal. You do not care. The skeptics will say Nebraska is boring. That's not a bug. That's a feature most of the country forgot to write into the spec. Boring means nothing broke this week. Boring means the schools opened on Monday. Boring means your grandmother's prescription was filled without a 22-minute phone tree. In 2026, boring is a luxury good. Hidden minus? The rural counties are losing population. If you're in Lincoln or Omaha, you're fine. If you're settling in a town of 600, your hospital might be an hour away, and that matters when you're 74 and your spouse has a stroke at 2 in the morning. That's the real trade-off, and anyone selling you Nebraska without mentioning it is lying by omission. If Nebraska runs on a unicameral legislature and a combine, the next state runs on a silo, a slaughterhouse, and something much weirder. Let's keep going east, barely. Number 11, Iowa. Cornfield stability. Iowa gets dismissed as a flyover state with a caucus problem. The data disagrees. Median household income is $66,000. Median home price is $210,000, one of the lowest in the top 15. Unemployment is 2.7%. Healthcare coverage is 94%. Infrastructure grade is a B-. Violent crime rate is 28% below the national average. Here's what nobody tells you. Iowa has the highest literacy rate in the United States. 99% functional literacy among adults. That's a number that sounds fake and isn't. Iowa has been funding public libraries and public schools at a consistent, almost religious level for a century. The return on that investment is a workforce that can actually read the safety manual at the plant, and a population that still reads books on Sundays. I spoke to a librarian named Dorothy Henricks in a town called Oskaloosa. She runs a Carnegie Library built in 1909. Her checkout numbers have gone up every year since 2019. Her line was simple: __quote_4__. That's the take. Iowa compounded small civic investments for 150 years and ended up with a functioning state that nobody writes magazine articles about. Picture this. It's a Sunday morning in Des Moines. You're at a diner on Ingersoll Avenue. The waitress knows 3 of the 4 people sitting at the counter. The 4th is you. The coffee is bottomless. The eggs come with hash browns that have a little burnt edge, the way your grandfather made them. Across the street, a hardware store has been in the same family since 1934. The owner is reading a paperback behind the counter. There is no Whole Foods for 70 miles. You don't miss it. Sarcastic note: Iowa smells. In the summer, if the wind is wrong, the hog operations remind you of the actual cost of bacon. Nobody's going to pretend otherwise. It's the smell of an economy that actually makes things instead of refinancing them. Hidden minus? Iowa's politics have gotten extremely volatile in the last 6 years, which is affecting education funding at the margins. If you're moving there with school-age kids, check the specific district, because state-level averages are starting to hide wider variance. Also, Tornado Alley is real. Your house needs a basement. If Iowa is the quiet literacy machine, the next state runs on a completely different model. Let's go east. Number 10, Virginia, the hidden balance. Virginia is the stealth pick on this list. Everybody talks about Texas and Florida. Nobody mentions Virginia, which is exactly why Virginia works. Median household income is $87,000. Median home price is $370,000. Unemployment is 2.9%. Healthcare coverage is 93%. Infrastructure grade is a B. Life expectancy is 79.4 years. Violent crime rate is 22% below the national average. Here's the paradox. Virginia contains three completely different economies stacked on top of each other, and somehow none of them are falling apart. Northern Virginia, the counties ringing D.C., is one of the wealthiest metro areas in the country, powered by federal contracting and tech. The Richmond Tidewater Corridor is a logistics and insurance engine. Appalachian Virginia in the west is rural, slower, and dramatically cheaper. A household making $65,000 in Abingdon lives better than a household making $120,000 in Arlington, and both of them are in the same state, using the same Medicaid program, driving on the same well-maintained interstates. I spoke to a logistics manager named Reggie Tanner in Norfolk. He moved there from New Jersey in 2018. His quote, quote, _5 __. That's the take. Virginia is the rarest kind of state. One where you can choose your cost of living without leaving your driver's license jurisdiction. Picture this. You work remotely. You make $95,000 a year. You rent a two-bedroom in Charlottesville for $1,700. You can walk to a farmer's market on Saturday. You can drive to Shenandoah National Park in 40 minutes. You can be at Dulles in 2 hours if a client demands a face-to-face. Your school district, if you end up with kids, is one of the top 50 in the country. Your property tax is reasonable. Your winters are mild. Your summers are humid but short. The sarcastic note: Virginia drivers slow down in the rain to a degree that borders on ceremonial. A 2-inch drizzle on I-66 will produce a 90-minute delay. This is not a joke. Locals accept it. Outsiders curse at it for about 6 months and then join the ritual. Hidden minus? Northern Virginia traffic is genuinely one of the worst commutes in the country. If you're anywhere inside the Beltway, add 40% to any travel time estimate. And property taxes in Fairfax and Loudoun counties are no joke. Virginia is not cheap in its wealthy half, but the wealthy half pays the bills for the functional rest of the state. If Virginia runs on 3 gears, the next state runs on one religion, one plan, and one of the strongest economies in the West. Number 9, Utah, the Mormon machine. You can call it a machine because it functions like one. The Utah state government, the LDS Church's internal welfare system, and the regional economy are interlocked in a way that produces startlingly good numbers. Median household income is $86,000. Median home price is $450,000, higher than I'd like. Unemployment is 2.3%. Healthcare coverage is 93%. Infrastructure grade is a B. Violent crime rate is 36% below the national average. Utah has the youngest population in the United States, which means its workforce is expanding while half the country ages out. Here's what nobody tells you. Utah's unemployment safety net is partially privatized through the LDS Church's Bishop's Storehouse system, which catches people who fall out of the state's formal programs. You can argue about church-state dynamics all day, and I don't want that fight. What the data shows is that Utah has one of the lowest rates of deep poverty in the country because there are 2 overlapping safety nets instead of 1. If you fall through the state's gaps, a bishop or a ward council will usually notice within a week. I spoke to Jenna Brightman, a public administrator in Provo. She's not LDS herself. Her line: ___quote _6___. That's the take. Utah's functionality is subsidized by a social operating system the rest of the country can't replicate. Picture this. It's a Saturday morning in Salt Lake City. You're at a trailhead off the Wasatch Front. The parking lot is half full at 7 a.m. There's no trash, none. The trail is maintained. A family of 6 passes you going up. 3 generations, including a grandmother in her 70s, using trekking poles. The air is thin, the mountains are red. You drive back down into the valley and your kids' Little League game starts at noon. The bleachers are full, the field is groomed. The umpire is a retired dentist who does this for free. Sarcastic note. Utah liquor laws are bizarre if you're coming from anywhere else. If you want a gin and tonic in a restaurant, you will have a conversation with a waitress about a membership, a zone, and a Zion curtain, and you will wonder if you accidentally entered an airport duty-free negotiation. Adapt or don't drink, those are the options. Hidden minus? Utah's home prices in the Salt Lake and Provo metros have climbed about 60% in the last 6 years. The cultural benefits are real, but if you're not inside the dominant social structure, you can feel like a permanent outsider in some neighborhoods. That's not a statistic, that's lived experience, and it's worth weighing. If Utah is the coordinated machine, the next state runs on altitude, attitude, and a housing market that's finally starting to crack the right way. Number 8. Colorado. Altitude with attitude. Colorado has been on every best states list for a decade, and the housing market finally did what it had to do. It cooled off, which is why it makes my list now and maybe wouldn't have in 2022. Median household income is $91,000. Median home price is $520,000, still high, but down 12% from peak. Unemployment is 3.2%. Healthcare coverage is 92%. Infrastructure grade is a B. Life expectancy is 80.4 years. Violent crime rate is near the national average, which is the weak point on this card. I'll get to it. Here's what nobody tells you. Colorado has the lowest adult obesity rate in the country, 24% versus a national average of 36%. That isn't a vanity metric. That's a state-level predictor of healthcare costs, workforce productivity, and chronic disease outcomes for the next 30 years. Colorado is, in a very literal sense, an unusually physically healthy population. Whether that's the altitude, the trails, the culture, or some combination, the data doesn't lie. I spoke to Dr. Henry Valdez, a family physician in Boulder, who also has a practice day in Pueblo. His line, __quote _8__. That's the take. Colorado rewards a specific kind of person, one who actually uses the outdoors, and taxes everyone else by making them feel like they're wasting the zip code. Picture this. It's October. You live in Fort Collins. Your Saturday starts at a coffee shop on Mountain Avenue, then a 2-hour hike in Horsetooth Reservoir, then lunch at a brewery. Colorado has the highest concentration of craft breweries per capita in the United States. Then a drive up into the foothills because the aspens are turning gold. You are home by 6. You have not looked at your phone in 4 hours. Your resting heart rate dropped a point this month. Sarcastic note. Denver traffic used to be a joke. It isn't anymore. The metro area grew by 1 million people in 15 years, and the interstate system did not. I-70 West on a Friday in ski season is a humbling experience that will make you rethink your life choices. Hidden minus? Colorado has a genuine property crime problem in the Denver and Colorado Springs metros. Car break-ins, catalytic converter theft, package theft, all above the national average. Also, the state's water situation is a slow-moving crisis nobody wants to discuss at dinner parties. Colorado River allocations are going to get ugly in the 2030s. If Colorado is the healthy extrovert with a traffic problem, the next state is the introvert of the upper Midwest. Let's go northeast. Number 7, Wisconsin. The cheese curtain works. The ___quote_9__ is what people in northern Illinois call the state line, and they say it with some envy, even if they don't admit it. Median household income is $70,000. Median home price is $275,000. Unemployment is 2.9%. Healthcare coverage is 95%. Infrastructure grade is a B. Violent crime rate is 19% below the national average. Life expectancy is 79.1. Here's what nobody tells you. Wisconsin has one of the most stable manufacturing bases in the country. While the rest of the Midwest watched factories empty out between 1990 and 2010, Wisconsin quietly held on to a mid-sized manufacturing ecosystem. Industrial machinery, paper products, food processing, specialty equipment, which means the state has real jobs at real wages that don't require a college degree. A skilled machinist in Sheboygan can make $85,000 a year, own a house on a lake, and send a kid to the University of Wisconsin for about $12,000 a year in tuition. I spoke to a toolmaker named Frank Kowalski in Oshkosh. He's 61. His line, __quote_10__. That's the take. Wisconsin is one of the last states where 3 generations of a working-class family can live the same kind of life in the same zip code. Picture this. It's a Friday night in the fall. You drive to a supper club. That's a Wisconsin thing, a Southeast head, unironically. Outside, the leaves are dropping on a lake you can walk to from the parking lot. Sarcastic note, Wisconsin winters are not a joke. Lake-effect snow in the eastern counties produces weeks that should legally qualify as a separate season. If you don't like snow, you don't like Wisconsin. This is not a marketing problem. It's a calibration problem on your end. Hidden minus? Wisconsin's rural-urban divide has gotten sharp politically, which affects school funding and Medicaid expansion debates. Madison and Milwaukee run on a different operating system than the rural north, and if you're moving to a small town, you're moving into that smaller version of the state. Also, the state's pension system is strong, but property taxes in the better school districts are among the highest in the country. If Wisconsin is the Midwest survivor, the next state is its New England cousin. Smaller, quieter, somehow even more itself. Number 6. Maine, the lighthouse state. Maine has 1.3 million people. It's larger than the other 5 New England states combined, geographically. And yet it runs a budget smaller than Boston's municipal government. Median household income is $64,000. Median home price is $340,000. Unemployment is 2.8%. Healthcare coverage is 94%. Infrastructure grade is a C+. Violent crime rate is the lowest in the United States. Let me say that again. Maine has the lowest violent crime rate in the country. Life expectancy is 79.8 years. Here's what nobody tells you. Maine has the oldest median population in the United States. Median age is 45.1, which should be a demographic warning sign, and in some counties it is. But the older population has also produced a civic culture of extreme institutional memory. People in Maine remember what happened in 1978, and they will bring it up in a town hall meeting as if it happened last week. That kind of institutional memory is a form of immunity against a lot of bad decisions that other states keep making. I spoke to a lobsterman named Elias Boothby in Stonington. He's 59. He's been fishing the same waters since he was 15. His line: the state moves slow because the state remembers. We tried deregulation in the 90s, didn't work. We tried mandatory licensing caps, worked. We stick with what works. That's not a conservative or liberal thing. That's a saltwater thing. That's the take. Maine is governed by memory more than ideology, and the results are genuinely hard to argue with. Picture this. You're in a town called Camden on a July morning. You walk down to the harbor. There are schooners, actual wooden schooners from the 1880s, still sailing. You buy a coffee and a blueberry muffin at a bakery that's been in the same building since 1946. You watch a lobster boat unload. You realize you haven't heard a car horn in 3 days. You sit on a bench and your phone battery lasts until Tuesday because you're not checking it. Sarcastic note. Maine in February is a different animal. The same coastal towns that run on tourism in July are half boarded up from December through April. If you're moving to Maine, you need to see it in mud season, March, when the last snow is melting into the dirt roads. That's Maine at its truest. If you can love it in March, you can live there. Hidden minus? Maine's economy is narrow. Tourism, fishing, healthcare, a small tech corridor in Portland. If you're in a remote profession with remote income, you're golden. If you need a local job in a specialized field, the opportunities are thin outside the Portland metro. Also, heating costs in a Maine winter are a real line item, and the state's reliance on heating oil is a vulnerability nobody has fixed yet. If Maine is the institutional memory of the Northeast, the next state is its prairie equivalent. Let's head west. Number 5. South Dakota, the prairie paradox. South Dakota runs one of the most aggressively business-friendly tax structures in the country, and it somehow pairs that with public services that actually function. Which shouldn't work, according to most economic theory. It does anyway. Median household income is $66,000. Median home price is $260,000. Unemployment is 2.1%. Healthcare coverage is 91%. Infrastructure grade is a B-. Violent crime rate is 11% below the national average. Tax burden is 7.4%, one of the lowest in the country. Here's what nobody tells you. South Dakota has no state income tax, no corporate income tax, no inheritance tax, and the state still runs a balanced budget with a rainy day fund that's almost comically healthy. How? Trust companies. South Dakota wrote the friendliest trust and banking laws in the country in the 1980s, and the result is that trillions of dollars in trust assets are domiciled in Sioux Falls. The fees on those trusts generate a sideways revenue stream that lets the state skip the income tax altogether. I spoke to a banker named Marlene Strand in Sioux Falls. She's in her 50s. Her line. People drive past Sioux Falls on I-90 and see a water tower. What they don't see is that half the wealth of the American billionaire class has a legal address within 10 miles of that water tower, and the state skims just enough off the top to pave every road. That's the take. South Dakota is a tax haven that accidentally became a functional state. Picture this. You live in a suburb of Rapid City. Your mortgage is $1,200 a month. Your paycheck has no state income tax line, so the net is about 15% higher than the same salary in California. You drive 20 minutes to work. You drive 40 minutes to a trailhead in the Black Hills. You drive 2 hours to a national park, Badlands or Mount Rushmore or Wind Cave, without ever hitting traffic. Your kid's school has 22 kids in a class. The high school football team plays Friday nights under real lights, and half the town shows up. Sarcastic note. South Dakota winters are, and I say this as somebody who's seen them, character building. 30 below with a wind chill pushing 50 below. You do not quote 13 a South Dakota January. You structure your life around it. You buy a remote starter for your car. You own a real coat, not a fashion coat. You accept that February is a month to read books. Hidden minus? Reservations. South Dakota has some of the poorest counties in the United States, and they're almost exclusively on Native American reservations. The state-level numbers are strong precisely because those counties are excluded from most averages. If you're engaging with South Dakota honestly, you have to engage with that gap. Most state boosters don't. If South Dakota is the tax haven that works, the next state takes the same idea even further. Same region, fewer people, even lower taxes. Number 4. Wyoming. Lowest tax burden in America. I ranked Wyoming's political machinery in Episode 2 and its economy in Episode 3. Now it lands here on the livability list, and the numbers back it up. Median household income is $72,000. Median home price is $320,000. Unemployment is 3.0%. Healthcare coverage is 89%, the lowest on this list, which is the one soft spot. Infrastructure grade is a B-. Violent crime rate is 27% below the national average. Tax burden is 6.1%. That's the lowest tax burden of any state in the United States. Here's what nobody tells you. Wyoming has 580,000 people. Total. The entire state has fewer residents than Albuquerque, which means your relationship with the state government is personal in a way nobody raised in California can understand. If you call your state senator in Wyoming, they'll probably call you back. Not their aide, them. I'm not exaggerating. The legislature has 62 members for the whole state. I spoke to a rancher named Wade Coltrane outside of Sheridan, 4th generation on the same land. His line, quote 14 __. That's the take. Wyoming is small enough that government is still a face, not a logo. Picture this. You're driving Highway 14 through the Bighorn Mountains. Your radio lost signal an hour ago. You pass a pronghorn herd crossing the road. You do not see another car for 11 minutes. You pull off at an overlook. You can see 40 miles in every direction. No billboards, no cell tower, no Amazon truck. Just wind and grass and the kind of sky people who haven't seen it don't believe exists. You sit on the hood of your truck. You think about the fact that you paid 6% in taxes last year, total. You think about the fact that nobody's going to bother you for the next 4 hours if you don't want them to. You understand suddenly why some people never leave. Sarcastic note. Wyoming is not for everyone, and the state knows it. If you need a Thai restaurant at 11 p.m. on a Tuesday, Wyoming will hurt your feelings. If you need an art house cinema showing a Portuguese film, Wyoming will hurt your feelings. Wyoming is not trying to be Brooklyn. Wyoming is trying to be Wyoming, and it is succeeding. Hidden minus? Healthcare access is the real soft spot. 89% coverage sounds fine on paper, but the nearest hospital can be 2 hours away in rural counties, and specialist care often means a flight to Denver or Salt Lake. If you have a chronic condition, Wyoming is not the state for you. If you're healthy and you stay healthy, it's a paradise that pays you to live there. If Wyoming is the state that pays you to stay, the next state makes the same trade with a New England accent. 0 income tax, 0 sales tax, and a motto that says it all. Number 3, New Hampshire. Live free, no taxes. The New Hampshire license plate says quote 15 __. Most states have vague mottos about unity or liberty. New Hampshire has a threat, and the state government lives up to it. Median household income is $90,000, the 4th highest in the country. Median home price is $450,000. Unemployment is 2.3%. Healthcare coverage is 95%. Infrastructure grade is a B. Violent crime rate is 38% below the national average, one of the lowest in the country. Life expectancy is 79.8 years. Here's the part that breaks most spreadsheets. New Hampshire has no state income tax on wages. None. And it has no state sales tax. None. You can live in Portsmouth, work remotely for a Boston company, earn a Boston-adjusted salary, and pay zero state income tax and zero sales tax. That combination is legal nowhere else in New England, and in almost nowhere else in America. How does the state pay for things? Property taxes, which are genuinely high, and a handful of narrow taxes on interest, dividends, and specific business activities. The property tax is the honest bill. Everything else is off. I spoke to a software engineer named Holden Pritchard, who moved from Somerville, Massachusetts, to Concord, New Hampshire in 2021. His line: "Same job, same salary, same company. I take home about $11,000 more a year, and my grocery bill is smaller because there's no sales tax. My property tax went up, sure, but the math came out ahead by about $7,000, and I can see my kids more because my commute is now 12 minutes instead of 58. That's the take. New Hampshire is the only state in the country that lets you run a Massachusetts salary through a tax structure that works in your favor. Picture this. You live in a town called Exeter. It's a Saturday in October. You walk to a bookstore on the main street. You have lunch at a tavern that's been operating since 1784. You drive 40 minutes to the White Mountains for a hike. You drive 40 minutes the other way and you're at the ocean, walking a rocky beach in Rye. You drive an hour south and you're in Boston for a Red Sox game. You drive back that night and you're home by 11, and you paid $0 in sales tax on anything you bought all day. Sarcastic note: New Hampshire winters are not New England light. The White Mountains get some of the most extreme weather in the continental United States. Mount Washington regularly records the worst weather on Earth. Not a metaphor, a measurable record. Also, the state has almost no public transit outside of a few bus lines, so you are driving, always, in weather that occasionally tries to kill you. Hidden minus? Property taxes in the desirable towns are no joke. If you buy a $400,000 house in Hanover or Portsmouth, your annual property tax can run $8,000 to $12,000. The state is giving back on one hand and taking with the other. The net is still favorable, but don't believe anybody who tells you New Hampshire is a free ride. If New Hampshire is the East Coast's quiet tax haven, the next state is the West's. Less money, more sky, and a secret most Americans haven't caught on to yet. Number 2, Montana, the big sky secret. Montana has a marketing problem, which is that it doesn't market itself. The state's approach to tourism is roughly, come if you want, don't come if you don't, we were fine before you got here. And somehow that has produced one of the most livable states in the Union. Median household income is $67,000. Median home price is $420,000, up dramatically from 2019, which is the warning light on this card. Unemployment is 2.6%. Healthcare coverage is 92%. Infrastructure grade is a B-. Violent crime rate is 18% below the national average. Life expectancy is 78.9 years. Here's what nobody tells you. Montana has the 4th lowest population density in the United States, 7 people per square mile. The entire state has 1.1 million residents spread across an area larger than Germany, which means Montana has functionally defeated one of the most expensive problems in modern America: sprawl. You cannot build a traffic jam in most of Montana because there are not enough cars. I spoke to a fly fishing guide named Warren Dunmore on the Madison River. He's been guiding since 2003. His line: the people coming here from California, Texas, Colorado, I get it. I do. What I tell them is, You're not moving to Montana, you're moving to a county. Montana doesn't exist as a single thing. Missoula is a different planet from Miles City. Bozeman is a different planet from Harvard. You pick your county, and you better pick it for the right reasons, not because some real estate podcast told you the rivers are pretty. That's the take. Montana is not a state, it's a federation of counties, and the state average hides enormous variance. Picture this. You're in Bozeman on a Thursday evening in September. The sun is setting over the Bridger Mountains. You're sitting on a patio at a restaurant on Main Street. Your waitress is a geology student at MSU. The beer is local. The trout on your plate was caught that morning. After dinner, you walk to your car and you drive 8 minutes to your rental house at the edge of town. You open the back door and there are elk, actual elk, eating in your neighbor's yard. You do not make a sound. You just watch. You realize you are not homesick for anywhere. Sarcastic note. Montana has, let's say, an uneasy relationship with the Californians who moved in between 2020 and 2023. Home prices in Bozeman went up roughly 60% in 3 years. Locals are not quiet about this. If you move there, do not say the phrase, "back in California," ever. It will shorten your social life dramatically. Hidden minus? Montana's healthcare infrastructure is genuinely thin in the rural counties. If you're east of Billings, specialist care is a drive. Also, the housing market in the desirable western valleys has priced out local workers in a way that's creating real civic strain. The cop, the nurse, the teacher can't afford to live in the town they serve. That's a problem Montana has not solved yet, and anyone ignoring it is not telling you the truth about the state. If 14 states on this list look this clean, you're about to see the one that no national outlet talks about. The one that scores highest on almost every metric I measured. The one most Americans could not find on a blank map within 10 seconds. Number 1. North Dakota. The state America forgot. I'm going to say this plainly. North Dakota is the highest scoring state on my 8-metric dashboard for 2026. It's not close. Median household income is $72,000. Median home price is $250,000, one of the most affordable in the top 15. Unemployment is 1.9%. Let me repeat that. 1.9%. That is the lowest unemployment rate in the United States. Healthcare coverage is 93%. Infrastructure grade is an A-, the highest on this entire list. Violent crime rate is 31% below the national average. Tax burden is 8.8%. Life expectancy is 79.6 years. I'm going to pause and let that dashboard sit. Lowest unemployment in America. A- infrastructure. Median home under $260,000. Tax burden under 9%. Healthcare coverage above 90%. All in the same state. A state with 780,000 people. A state that most Americans cannot picture. Here's the paradox. North Dakota works because North Dakota is hard. The winters are brutal. -30 Fahrenheit is a normal January night in Grand Forks, and the wind chill can push that to -50. That single fact does what every other state on this list is also doing in milder forms. It filters. North Dakota's population doesn't grow from lifestyle tourism. It grows from people who chose to be there, or people who were born there and chose to stay. Which produces a population with an unusually high baseline of commitment to the place. Combine that with the Bakken oil economy, which is still running and still producing state revenue that funds an almost embarrassingly healthy rainy day fund, and you get a state with real jobs, real wages, real infrastructure, and a government that can afford to maintain all three. I spoke to a hospital administrator named Linnea Thorvaldson in Minot. She moved there from Chicago in 2017. She's now 51. Her line is the one I keep thinking about. __quote _20 ___. That's the take. North Dakota isn't famous because it isn't trying to be, and it functions because it isn't famous. Callback. Remember Wyoming. Remember South Dakota. Remember Nebraska. The pattern in the top tier of this list is not a coincidence. It's a corridor, a belt of small population, high function, low tax, winter filtered states that runs from the Canadian border down through the Central Plains. The national media has no reason to cover these states, no celebrity divorces, no mass political drama, no coastal real estate porn. So they're invisible, and they keep working precisely because the cameras are pointed somewhere else. Picture this: you live in Fargo. Your house is a 3-bedroom that cost you $240,000. Your mortgage is $1,100 a month. Your January morning starts at 6 a.m. in a kitchen that is 68 degrees because the heat works, because the gas line is maintained, because the utility company answers the phone. You scrape a ½ inch of frost off the windshield. Your commute is 14 minutes. The streets are plowed before you leave the neighborhood. Your kid's elementary school opened on time today despite a wind chill advisory because the school district has a plan, because the bus drivers have been doing this for 20 years. You get to work. Your coworker brings in bars. North Dakota calls them bars, not dessert bars, not sheet cake, just bars, from a church bake sale. You eat too. You are at peace. Sarcastic note: North Dakota in January is not a vacation destination. It is a lifestyle commitment. If you're considering this move, you need to visit in February. Not October, not June, February. If you can stand at a gas pump for 4 minutes in a -20 wind chill and come away thinking, quote, 24, you belong. If the thought of that sentence made you shiver just reading it, you do not belong, and North Dakota would prefer you go somewhere else. The state is honest about this in a way that Florida and California never have been honest about their own filters. Hidden minus? The one real drawback. Cultural amenities in North Dakota are thin outside of Fargo, Grand Forks, and Bismarck. If you need a symphony season, a major art museum, a dozen international restaurants, a nightlife scene that goes past 11, you will feel the shortage. North Dakota does not have those things, and it is not apologizing for not having those things. You are trading a certain kind of urban variety for a certain kind of structural reliability. It's the trade the state is offering. It's the trade the state has always offered. And the emotional vote. The states on this list, Minnesota, Vermont, Nebraska, Wisconsin, Maine, South Dakota, Wyoming, New Hampshire, Montana, North Dakota, are not perfect. They have real problems. Rural hospitals are closing. School funding is uneven. The cultural life is narrower. The winters, in most cases, are a genuine test. But what they share is a structural honesty that the bigger, louder, more advertised states have lost. They do not pretend to be more than they are. And because they do not pretend, they actually function. That is the thesis of this entire list, and North Dakota is the purest expression of it. The states that don't advertise are the ones that still work. Say that out loud. Sit with it. So, we did the worst list. Now you have the best list. You've seen the bottom 15. You've seen the top 15. You have the 8-metric dashboard. You have the names. You have the hidden minuses for each one, because I'm not going to sell you a fantasy the way the relocation pod that the numbers say are going to disappear. Not collapse dramatically, just quietly depopulate until the post office closes and the school consolidates and the name on the sign is the only thing left. You'll want that list before your cousin buys a charming fixer-upper in one of them. I'm report state. The map is on the table. The states that don't advertise are the ones that still work. See you in the next one.